Tem umas Chivas na Yu e umas Chivas no Ember, mano. Eles trollou.
Parabéns!
GG.
Não, tomara que agora sejam 2 mapas da Parivid pra falar que teve jogo, a gente pegar bastante ponto.
Eu quero os pontos. Pra mim ia ser melhor se a Parivision ganhasse, que eu ia acertar mais um palpite. Logo, eu vou te falar uma coisa. Pra quem apostou na Team Spirit ganhando esse TI pela Lower Bracket, tira o meu chapéu, viu?
A Chine fez isso só que com a Yandex.
Não, mas ele colocou que a Pari ganha. Ele colocou que a Yandex
Porque a
ganha.
Yandex ganha na final.
Ele colocou Pari,
Em cima
doido.
da Parivision.
Sério?
Sério, olha aí.
Você viu os prints que nós mandou aqui no Discord, Totti?
Deu dormindo? Eu vi.
Uhum. É, ó, Yandex mesmo. O nosso artigo vai falar, eu só errei o time. O cara tem visão, não tem, Marcelo? Acertou bem mais que nós, velho. Quer dizer que eu e você também nós não acompanha, né, campeonato.
Botar essa porra aí como aqueles emojis, tá ligado?
Esse emoji desbloqueável. Sleep Touch.
Sleep Touch.
Qual que é o rank do Satanic? Rank 3? Foto de anime, velho.
Tá cheatado essa bosta, pode denunciar.
O Spirit faz tempo que ela não sabe o que quer perder, né? Ela só perdeu um mapa. Ela só perdeu 2 mapas.
Uhum.
Até agora ela só perdeu 2 mapas.
Não, ela perdeu 3. Senão ela tinha que ficar 4-1.
Não, eu tô falando aqui nos playoffs.
Ah, na
Ó, que ela
playoff.
perdeu 1, 2... 2. A Team Vision perdeu 3 mapas, ela só perdeu 2. Ela deu 2-0 na Liquid, 2-0 na Iron Wings, 2-0 na Bomboys, 2-0 na Yandex. A Yandex, a Spirit perdeu só 2 mapas e a Vision perdeu 3.
Se o Spirit joga, né? Tô achando que eles vão ganhar esse terrível. Depois desse primeiro jogo aí, velho.
E na fase de grupo eles perderam pra quem? Deixa eu ver aqui. Para a Vision e pra Enigma.
Tô pensando em dormir, velho. Eu vou acordar e ainda vai estar tendo jogo.
Não vai não.
Não vai mesmo.
Cara, eu vou ver os piques. Dependendo dos piques eu vou dormir. Se o Puppy der outra cagada.
Trollada e esquece, né?
You trade farm, and for mid-heroes to punish melee
Cala a
heroes, they
boca,
have to make it so that
puta.
if the melee heroes walk up to hit a creep, that they take absurd amounts of damage, and that just doesn't
Caralho, a
look.
moça de vermelho parece aquela apresentadora lá do podcast das Mulheres Vênus.
A Arabe?
É.
That moment where you're wanting to see a little bit more movement coming out from your mid.
Porra, hein? Olha que aí eu da hora. Ei.
E o mid ninguém nem tinha feito, mano. O Puppy cagou no pau, a verdade é essa. E eu não sei nem quem foi que pediu essa cagada no passe. Esse foi o nome que falou, não quero jogar de Ember, não quero jogar de Ember.
Com certeza.
Eu tive uma brilhante ideia aqui agora, hein? E se eu jogasse de IO? Tu quero jogar de IO, mid.
Não, foi não. Nunca, nunca. A Io foi uma resposta pro Slark. Eles podiam ter pego um Ruska, né, no mid.
Ah,
Eu
eu
acho
vi
que
isso
o
do cara.
Ruska
Eu vi
contra
isso
esse
do
Slark
cara.
ia ser bem melhor.
Apesar que Slack é bom contra a Ruska, né? O Q dele, ele não toma tanto dano.
Really nice. Root is going to guarantee the kill on Satanic. That got him a first blood. And the lane didn't really get that much better for a bit here because that level 3 now for Undying is very, very fearsome. He did use Flame Guard to protect himself when he got gone on a bit here, which is going to give him a little bit of protection. But the downside is they have a lot of nuke damage here. So they actually were just bursting through his Flame Guard and almost killing him. Here's his final death here that you would normally get successfully, but Satanic, of course, so he's going to slight dodge that one as well, even using another Fairy Fire to survive. He had a tough lane. They did gank the Undying, but they did do this nice move on the Wisdom Shrine, which allowed them to, at the very least, get the Wisdom Shrine, but it forced a ton of rotations here, and Clap still got one support kill. So, but this was a nice moment for Satanic to catch up, and in the end of this, he's actually kind of close in net worth if you take a look at it. All things considered, yeah, he's really not that far away. So that was great. Then Utoro did some really interesting things in this game, and you probably spotted him in the stream at some point showing up somewhere he's not supposed to be. So watch his path here. He was thinking about killing the Axe, but Axe basically got zoned because he's SF. SF wins his matchups, and then he's just fishing to do mid pressure. There's a catapult at this moment, so this is a really good time for him to be here, because if he's just successful at helping to get a kill, then they get a whole bunch more damage. And this is probably the moment you saw him on stream when he came here and double raised the enemy mid. This is kind of crazy to look at, but if you look at what happened on the map here, he's basically forcing the IO to go farm these camps over here, which means he's super far away from the mid lane. So it basically makes it easier for them to pressure the mid lane and for his Slark to get as much farm as he wants. And a short time later, he basically does the same thing. He's going to clear the wave. He's going to walk towards mid. He's going to take this nice little ancient stack, which is beautiful for him, and he's going to do the same thing. Hiding behind the tower, looking for a hero. He ends up spotting out 9 class, which guarantees the vision, which guarantees the kill, and again, guarantees the tower. So this early pressure that Yatoro did to rotate, it didn't take a huge amount of him. He lost a little bit of gold, but he got some nice ganks in. That pressure really opened things up on the map. The mid was opened up. Collapse had this really sick play, getting the kill on Satanic, and as a whole, the lanes just went great for Team Spirit.
Thank you so much, Pudge. We're seeing it play out in real time. The Utoro of
Nossa, ela abriu a
TI-10,
boca
that's
agora que
what
deu até
he was praised
desgosto.
for time and time.
Nossa, parece que eu tô falando retardado, velho. Que porra é essa?
We back. Fan Showdown, Season 6, Episode 5. And while I was making this episode of the Fan Showdown, I was actually thinking, didn't I just release a Fan Showdown not too long ago? Do I really make another one this close behind it? And then I was actually looking at my channel. And the last episode I released was way back in May. I don't know why I got so confused. Maybe because I was messing with that low fan design for so long, and I got into that printing fans out for the Fan Showdown. Either way, I have no concept of time any longer. It's crazy. If you think that's good, I should keep these Fan Showdowns spaced out. Maybe let me know in the comments down below. But if you think that is absolutely unacceptable, make sure to voice your concern in the comments down below, and I'll be adjusting the timeline based on what you guys want to see. But for now, let's just get into it. Actually, one second. I should probably mention this at the start of the video since it's been so long since the last Fan Showdown. The Fan Showdown is a series I run on this channel where the viewers of the channel, you guys out there, submit your designs to me to compete in a season-specific challenge to see who out there can come up with the best fan design. And if you're interested in getting involved in the series on the channel, make sure to go down to the description below. There's links of resources to use to help you design a fan. But specifically, there is dimensions you need to make sure you hit so that your fan fits on the A12X25 frame, the fan frame that we use as a test bench. Other than that, basically, anything else is up to you. Make whatever you think perform the best, or just make something you think look cool, and then take your design and submit to me at least a .stp or a .stl to the Fan Showdown at gmail.com. I'll print it out. We'll test against your peers. We'll see who comes up with the best fan design, or just who comes up with the coolest, most unique fan design. design, and now let's get into it. First up, we have a design that we've seen actually in the past. I've seen it actually quite a bit. A lot of people submit this design to me. This is the honeycomb, and it was created by Sebastian. Although we've seen this design in the past seasons and past episodes of the Fan Showdown, I thought it'd be fun to test it again in this season because this season we're focused on static pressure. Well, the reason being is that in static pressure testing, the fan's main job is not only to push air into the test chamber, but also limit the amount of backflow to achieve higher static pressure numbers. And because of the inherent design of honeycomb, I thought this would lend itself better to static pressure than airflow. Will it work? Will that be true? I don't know, but it's back. And I see a lot of people submit this style fan, honeycomb specific style fan. So I know you guys out there really want to know, is this any good? Now next up we have the GETF34X25, which was created by Gnork. Everybody's got crazy names. Now if this fan looks familiar to you along with its name, that's because the inspiration for this design was the General Electric TF34. And if that doesn't help, that's the jet engine attached to the plane that goes. Now, jet engine inspired fans are also quite popular on the channel. I've actually made one myself in the past that I then exploded. But I've always thought that, jet engine style fans just look cooler. However, just like the honeycomb inspired designs in the past in airflow testing, these high bleed density fans haven't really done that good. But again, this season we're focused on static pressure, so maybe this is the day. However, I think there's a little bit of a caveat here. The fan model here is a representation of the high bypass fan on the GETF34, and that fan's job is really to move a large volume of air much slower than the air passing through the core. The compression in a jet engine is performed in the core by the compressor section, which is comprised of compressor blades and stator vanes, which are all really essential to allowing an axial compressor to really function properly. But that being said, it looks cool. It's a jet engine style fan, and having all the little blades close together should help it limit that backflow that we were talking about earlier and perform relatively well. Now, this next one is called the YACF, and it was created by Smoonkin. Now, what does YACF stand for, you might ask? I have no idea. Smoonkin didn't say anything about the name. He really didn't say anything about the fan at all, other than saying, here is yet another centrifugal fan. But what I like about this fan is that it's an assembly, and for some reason, assembly fans, what I mean by assembly fans, it's basically comprised of a bunch of pieces that are all printed out separately, and then they go together to make the final product. And I always like these for whatever reason. Mostly because they make printing it a lot easier. I was just to print this standard fan disc, there'd be a lot of overhangs and support material that need to be removed, but since it's printed in pieces, I was able to print everything without support material, except for the cover, but all the support materials on the outside, so it doesn't really matter, and it still printed out relatively easily, and then I get to, put it together and it looks cool. Now we have seen centrifugal style fans do pretty good on this specific season of Fan Showdown. Think of the Wonder from Down Under, which is crushing it at the top right now at like 8 millimeters of H2O, so I'm hoping that this one will carry that forward. Will it get that high? Doubtful, but I'm hoping it'll do pretty good. Now, last up for the day, we have a fan that I think is pretty darn clever, and one that should do pretty darn good because it was tested before it was sent over. This is the Vortex 9, and it was created by Mobiobi. Why are you guys so crazy with your names? I like this design because from the front, it looks just like a standard axial fan, but when you see the backside of the fan, you're going to notice that it's almost completely closed off, and you're probably thinking, how is a fan that's completely closed off in the back going to do really anything? And it all has to do with how the A12X25 frame is designed and being just a little bit clever in your fan design. On the backside of the A12X25 frame is a slight chamfer. Using that feature, Myobi essentially turned this axial fan into a centrifugal fan. When the fan is fully seated into the A12X25 frame, you can see the small gap along the edge of the fan frame, and that the fan disc sits slightly below that chamfer. This means that as the fan spins and pushes air through the fan frame and outwards, this small chamfer is going to help redirect that air rearwards into the test chamber. And with the small gap and the centrifugal force imparted on that air mass, this design should help climb that static pressure ladder. And you're probably like, great theory. You seem a little bit overconfident on how well you think this fan's going to do, but that's because Myobi did his homework and sent me a little video of this fan actually inflating a plastic bag with 2 cans of soup on it. And you might be thinking 2 cans of soup isn't really that much, but for a PC fan, that seems like a lot of weight. That video was sped up, but regardless, the fan was able to inflate the bag, and I'm pretty sure that a standard PC fan probably couldn't pull that off. We still should have a good chance, or he should still have a good chance of getting pretty high on the board. But before we see how high it goes, or low, which would be really funny, let's have a listen. The honeycomb came in around 44.4 dBA. The GETF34X25 came in around 45.2. The YACF came in at 50.7. And the Vortex 9 came in around 52 dBA. The honeycomb was actually pretty impressive in the testing. I know it's just slightly below the GETF34X25. It's a really long name to keep saying. But in real life, this thing was whisper quiet. I couldn't even tell it was on. Let's see if we can move in the air now. Now, in the smoke test, the Vortex 9 and the YACF did look a bit chaotic, especially when compared to like normal, more standard axial style fans. Now, let's see if that will translate into static pressure numbers. The honeycomb came in at 1.5 millimeters of H2O. The GETF34X25 came in at 2.3. The YACF came in at 2.9. And the Vortex 9 came in at 5.4, placing the Vortex 9 in first place, the GETF34X25 in second, the YACF in third, and the honeycomb in fourth. And overall, they finished second, 15th, 16th, and 20th, respectively. So today we learned that, unfortunately, the honeycomb design, although very popular, you can't imagine how many honeycomb style fans I see submitted to the Fan Showdown, but they just never do that good. They look cool, but in airflow testing and in static pressure testing, they just don't do it. Also, we learned that the Vortex 9 is simplistic perfection. And I'm guessing, based on looking at the smoke test, that optimizing this gap and maybe the geometry of the fan, you could probably get even more performance out of it. So if you're watching and you're thinking about making a design, maybe think about doing something creative here. But anyway, thank you guys all for watching. If you want to support the channel, get subscribed to the channel. That'd be very helpful, much appreciated. And again, if you want to get in on the Fan Showdown to make what you think is the best fan in the world, or maybe you have just a really clever, awesome design that you think will look cool, get down there in the description below. Pick out the links, go to my Thingiverse, grab references of the fans, grab the dimension sheet, and send your designs to me. Remember, I need at least a .stp or a .stl sent to thefanshowdown@gmail.com. I'll print them out, and we'll see how good you actually are. Until next time. How can this be that good? Well, I did ask you last video if we should do
versus Ember Arise. Ember, through a lot of this tournament, I think would be getting first pick because there's this one pesky Slark. So that means Ember is kind of will be a second pick only hero because you need to pick it on the end of the first phase, so then you can ban the Slark in the next phase. Compared to if you try to pre-ban it, then they will just respond with the Ember ban. So you can actually never get Ember if your first pick. And these things can rise and change how teams prioritize draft order and how the lineups are created because maybe Ember was crucial and now you can't get any more from that pick side.
It's always the back and forth when it does come to drafting. Are you a team that loves and thrives on that first pick, or are you a team that wants to wait until the end, be able to be more reactionary and know that you have that depth within you there? And we're seeing all our players, they look downstage, sitting back down in the booth, and we've brought this up time and time again, is how necessarily division feel after a loss, right? Are they a team that gets a little bit downtrodden about it, or are they a team that goes, hey man, you chalk it up, it is what it is, and we just look towards a whole brand new game here? And I honestly think it's the second of those two options, because even though we've seen them be the team with an early GG in a game at TI, there were still a lot of laughs, there were still a lot of smiles, and I think the camaraderie between Vision is much stronger than maybe public perception sees.
I think so too, and I mean, no one was smiling at Satanic at the end of the game. Someone was chatting, and they seem to be okay. I think they have this understanding that when it's a draft issue, then you go next. Like Insania loves to say, every game is 0-0. You give up on the last loss.
Yeah, I think you just forget about the last game. I think you can draw some drafting lessons, but that's mostly for Puppy to do. And I think for the players, it's just, we're going to go into the game, we're going to run it back. We had a series against Spirit before where we lost the game, and it's nothing new to us. We've done this before. And I feel like they've proven throughout this tournament that they are not fazed by losses. This has happened so many times. And this whole idea of like, they used to be a team that tilted out a series or stuff like that, it just doesn't apply to them anymore.
Yeah. And again, they have so many approaches they can take in a draft, Quinn, like their Lone Druid or Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they've got plenty of tricks in the bag still. And I think they've also gotten, I hope, some of the jitters out of the way. If you look at some of the clips that Purge was showing, the Ember Spirit walks back into a bramble, or no one maybe is CSing it's a little bit off in lane. I think some of that is, it's a grand final. It just feels a little different. It's a little bigger, grander, scarier. You love to see it.
Bro knows it's him.
You love to see the smiles in finals. I think it's very easy to get sucked into, especially when you're down a game, the stress and pressure of we're down, we need to come back, we need to fix things, there's problems, and these can mount up and feel like this overwhelming dread sort of enveloping you. But I think the ability to not, only try to win, which is the most important thing, but also appreciate this is a very special moment you may never get again. You never know whenever these things will happen. Dota is a very competitive game, and people fall by the wayside all the time. And so I think being able to laugh and appreciate the moment, the privilege you've been given, I think is something they should all very much look to do.
We also saw just briefly there, we had Not Me come up on the screen, and I think it's a face not a lot of people are familiar with for two reasons. One, this is his first TI appearance. You're making it to a grand final with a veteran and a decorated org such as Spirit here. But on top of that, he shaved his beard off, and I know coming into the grand finals, we were all discussing, is it going to be Voltoro? Well, over on the Chinese stream, Delph was talking to Maposhka and asked Maposhka about, oh, did you guys consider shaving Yatoro's head? And he goes, it worked twice. We don't really think it's going to work a third time. And as the rookie, Not Me had to tank it, and he was more than willing to shave his beard instead.
I love that this is kind of an initiation ritual for Team Spirit. I mean, there is a very specific culture in this team, and you can really watch it unfold in moments like these in the TI Grand Finals.
We've alluded to draft alterations that need to be had. The preparation and the pressure of those said drafts really falls on Puppy and Maposhka, and so we'll see how it pans out for game number 2.
Team Vision versus Team Spirit. Grand Finals. Game 2.
Spirit is up 1 game here in a best-of-5 for our TI-15 Grand Finals. We had Vision with first pick in game number 1, and it has been flipped this time around. It's going to be Spirit with their first pick, and so it does bring back all of those theories that you guys were crafting. Where does this Ember take priority now? Where does this lock fall in the draft if you're willing or wanting to take Ember in the first phase?
Yeah. There's this really cool thing you could do here if you're Team Spirit. Like, let's see, we're going to see Vision's 2 first bans. And if they notice that there's like 2 heroes that they want to ban out, that we know they want to ban, and we don't want to give them the opportunity to do it, you can ban out the Slark, forcing them to ban the Ember, and then giving you one of those heroes that you want to play in the upcoming situation.
Yeah, it's definitely something you consider, and with the way the bans have been changed over the years, the order of them is very important, and trading bans in that forced way is definitely a smart and cool tactic. They choose to pass on it in this instance, but it's something that may come into effect in later games as well.
With the Nature's Prophet taken out by Team Spirit, I think if you're Team Vision, you can comfortably lean back on your Lone Druid. I mean, there's always the concern of the first pick Winter Wyvern coming out from Team Spirit, but you have 2 bans here. Instead, they ban the Bane. Bane covers for Ember, it covers for Io.
Yeah, I wonder if these will be the bans that they continue with throughout the series. I know in the finals we played that sometimes you're wrong about the first phase bans, it can be a bit tricky to actually get those right, and it's so much easier from a third eye perspective, or from after the series to feel like, oh, obviously we should have banned this instead. Nature's Prophet was too broken. But sometimes you get mixed up and you ban the wrong heroes in the moment, and I think considering those and really making sure, is this really integral to their draft? Is this what binds them together is such an important thing.
Vision are looking at their final ban here, and what's been left in the pool from game number 1 is that Wyvern, it's also the Earth Spirit and the Coddle, and now it feels like you're in a tricky situation because at least 2 of those are getting through, along again with maybe that Ember.
I mean, I think that you have a lot of things to consider here, right? If you ban the Slark, then Spirit picks Ember. Are you happy to play Earth Spirit into Ember? We've seen quite a lot of success in that matchup specifically. Winter Wyvern has been Spirit's go-to first pick, I feel like, in every single game that we've seen them play. When it's there, they always go for it. So it's a tricky situation. You have to kind of look at the matchups that you get and what kind of trade you want to make here.
They definitely could go for a Spirit trade. They've left Earth Spirit, a hero that's been very, very dominant. Laurel's very capable of. Ember is a classic response. It's not really a lane counter anymore, but in the game you buy Vessel and you buy Mage Slayer and you can negate some of his fighting with your own fighting. So they could be saying, hey, you take one Spirit, we take the other. But Spirit declines the trade and says, Yatoro cooked so hard last game, we're just running it back because we don't think you have answers.
I wonder if they think that Notice Hero Pool suffers very hard against the Shadow Fiend, because there is always the potential of a Darkseer coming out to counter the SF, but maybe they think that that's very easy to deal with any kind of Dispel, any Enchantress, any Largo.
I think the Darkseer against SF matchup is very much a laning, or not so much of a laning matchup, and I feel like the way that Team Spirit are playing right now, I feel like if they can guarantee that they have side lane pressure from Yatoro's SF, they're just going to go for the SF, looking at the matchup, seeing like nothing really pressures us. They might be counters us down the line, like we saw them earlier today run the TV themselves, so there are ways to deal with it, but they just want to get that pressure early on. They don't want to let the lanes snowball. And Team Vision go for the Earth Spirit.
It's a very solid response. There's nothing wrong with this at all. And to be honest, I already like this opener more for Vision than I did last game. This Earth Spirit hero, it's just so good against all the turrets because you have a way to gap close. And so you get on top of the Shadow Fiend, you make him start running, and the whole advantage turrets have is they can hit you while you run into them. So if you close that gap immediately and you just roll on top of them, well, now suddenly he's running away, and those are valuable seconds that he's not hitting you and dealing DPS.
Yeah, on the flip side of that is Earth Spirit, we've seen him kind of struggle when he rolls in and there's a turret hitting him. Like, if he misses his initial stun and he doesn't have backup, you're getting 5-shotted by the Shadow Fiend. So a lot of it is execution-based at later stages of the game too. And Darkseer does get taken out. I think once the Earth Spirit shows you can't let Darkseer through, it just creates too strong of a combination.
Yep, absolutely agree. I think, if you have the opportunity to ban heroes, of course you should ban the heroes that counter you down the line, right? You don't need to give away the possible best matchups with your opponents. So good ban from Spirit here. I'm trying to think, because we've talked about how important the supports have been in this matchup, and I think, there you go, the Coddle's out. This was a hero that pairs very well with both Ember and the Earth Spirit. Any sort of Spirit, really, Coddle's happy to play with. And 9 Class has proven to find opportunities to make moves with this hero that no other player has done at this tournament.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I think also, like the man on camera, he has been so impressive. And the fact that there's a Clockwork first phase ban, a hero that no one else really cares about that much, but he is so terrifying with the accuracy of these cogs. They feel like they have to first phase ban it every game. That's so much value. That's why you're getting the Shadow Fiend, is because he's so proficient at that Clockwork. These things add up like crazy.
Rue is good too. I do think you have to account for a potential Ember still on Vision, like maybe an Enchantress for Ducalis or something, because it's still in the pool. We know Laurel's going to play it.